Welcome to the OutTheRaces.com preview of Royal Ascot. We're now looking ahead to day 3, the feature race over 2.5 miles. It's the Ascot Gold Cup, and it was won last year in impressive style by Fame and Glory.
The outside, however, is coming to throw down a challenge. Opinion Poll is staying on from back in the field as well. It's Fame and Glory, the well-backed favourites, who took over from Manigar. Then Opinion Poll, who continues to close. It's Fame and Glory. He's got 3 lengths in hand over Opinion Poll in second. Fame and Glory driven out, is staying on strongly. Opinion Poll into second, but once again, for the 6th time in a row, the Gold Cup will go to Ireland. Fame and Glory beats Opinion Poll. Brigantine was third.
And there's Fame and Glory winning last year's Ascot Gold Cup. He went on to win again at the track back in October on Champions Day, and he's one of a handful of horses entered at this stage for the 2.5 mile feature. He's in there alongside last year's second Opinion Poll. Colour Vision also there for Saeed bin Suroor. Sadler's Rock for John Ox. Dunedin, the Melbourne Cup winner, still entered at this stage. Time's Up entered, as is Memphis, Tennessee, who's also trained by Aidan O'Brien. And Fame and Glory, JC, was a very good horse. We're joined by Jason Weaver and by Andy Gibson to talk us through the race. And Jason, he was a very good horse as a younger horse. He was an Irish Derby winner, and that class really tells against the level of opposition that he's been running against.
It's fascinating, isn't it, that an outfit as big as they are, they're interested in the Gold Cup. They've got a real feel about this race. They know it's the big one on Ladies' Day, and it has a massive following amongst the flat followers. He is the class. He's been able to step up and go the extreme distance. There aren't too many who actually truly get the 2.5 miles really, really well. Class act, and he starts off as a worthy favourite. It's just whether they can get him to retain that enthusiasm.
And Andy, we've seen him go to Ascot the last couple of times during last season. He won on the Gold Cup day last year, won on Champions Day as well. He seems to act very well around the 2.5 miles at Ascot.
Yeah, he's 2 from 2 at Ascot. Very few horses have the class and the stamina to win the Ascot Gold Cup, which is why 6 from 15 of the last champions to defend the crown have been successful. Clearly, Fame and Glory is the one to beat again. A
class act, Jason. We saw him have the usual Aidan O'Brien preparation for a race like this. They're taking the minor races on Ireland. They just scrape home, just doing enough, and the improvement from there to the big day is quite marked.
It is quite fascinating. I think that there's nearly a bit of an Australian trainer's thought process here, to have that bit of freshness in them. For a horse who clearly stays 2.5 miles, to have the freshness in them, which gives them that little bit of extra speed, that enables them to win down over the shorter trip and then taking a massive step forward to the big day at Ascot.
And Aidan O'Brien sure is going to have him primed, and we'll see a different horse to what we saw last time out at Navan.
Yeah, I don't think that he had been fully tuned. And, of course, we were told going into the contest at Navan that he's not there at the moment. This is just a prep race. It's a stepping stone to bigger things for him.
And we saw him last year. He ran an average race before going to Ascot back in October when he came on to win strongly again. Let's have a look back at that race. He once again had Opinion Poll in behind him, and back in 3rd place was Colour Vision. With either of these two horses, and he'd be on your radar to close that gap or even turn over Fame and Glory?
Possibly. I do think this is a race to have a bet in, mainly because I think you've got 3 or 4 contenders at most. I think Opinion Poll and Colour Vision are definitely 2 of them. You look here with Colour Vision coming through late as a 3-year-old. Jason, you'd be very confident about him staying a little bit further?
I would do. Let's hope that Colour Vision does better for Saeed bin Suroor than a horse who we saw in that very same race who was taken off David Simcock, of course, Darley's son, who we thought was going to be a real player in all the cup races, and he just went down through the pan. The good thing about Colour Vision is he's come out and run a cracker, of course, on the transferred fixture on the all-weather. Admittedly, that was his first run on the all-weather, but he absolutely smashed Red Caddo, who's come out and run 2 very good races since.
And he took 3 seconds off the course record that day with the turn of foot. To what extent might that turn of foot be blunted on a softer surface?
I don't think it'll matter whatsoever. I do believe that the nursery ground that is considered now Mark Johnson's, the stepping stone onto better things, I believe that the rumble coming out from the camp was that they just realised the Gold Cup winner had left Midland.
So Colour Vision then very impressive on his comeback. He goes to war against Fame and Glory, having finished 3rd to him last year in the Long Distance Cup. Another interesting contender, one of the young ones stepping up into the big division, is a horse trained in Ireland by John Ox. It's Sadler's Rock, and we can see him here winning the Doncaster Cup last year. And on a strict form line, Andy, with Opinion Poll, he's going to be right up there alongside Fame and Glory.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're the 4. I think it's Fame and Glory, Opinion Poll, Colour Vision and Sadler's Rock. I think, I mean, here as a 3-year-old, he's got all the allowances. Obviously, he doesn't have the allowances anymore, but he's now hopefully bigger, stronger as a 4-year-old. He's got some sort of a chance. Jason, you were mentioning about opinion poll and stamina.
Yeah, 18 furlongs for the Doncaster Cup, 20 furlongs for Ascot. Spoke to Frankie after the race at Doncaster, and he said, you know, that he just didn't quite get to the line. Everybody thought he committed a bit early and needed holding on to a touch longer. He's come back out, he's won at Sandown, we know that, but I'll tell you, it's an extreme test, and I just don't see. I think he gets it. He gets the trip through class alone without seeing it through true stamina.
And for this sort of a race, you need to be coming here on your A game. With Sadler's Rock, he missed his intended comeback. He's had a hard race on bad ground for his reappearance. Would that compromise his chance anyway?
Very, very rarely have I read or listened to John Ox being so strong about the defeat of one of his horses and talk about defending him to the hilt. Normally he'll just say he's been beaten and we'll go home, regroup and see where we go. With Sadler's Rock, he said he hated the ground. The trip was far too short, and he was almost bullish. So I certainly wouldn't underestimate him if he lines up over the 2.5 miles at Ascot.
And John Ox's record bringing horses over to England, always worth paying respect to. So selections time for the Ascot Gold Cup. The winner, Andy?
I've backed opinion poll and colour vision in some each way multiples. I might even be speculative on the day and play the two of them with Sadler's Rock in some combination forecasts and try and get the favourite out of the first two.
And for you, Jason?
Give the boys in blue something to shout about on Ladies' Day. Colour vision to smash home.
Well, according to the boys here, it's got to go the way of Godolphin. Colour vision, strongly fancied for the Ascot Gold Cup.